In the United States, all commercial drivers are regulated by the Department of Transportation. The Department of Transportation, or DOT for short, is a federal agency tasked with overseeing highway, air, railroad, and maritime transportation. A component of the DOT you probably have already heard of is the FAA, which regulates air traffic. You may have also heard of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, which regulates vehicle safety. For instance, they're the ones who regulate seatbelts and airbags. As bus drivers, we are specifically regulated by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. For example, the daily driver's logs and the limits on driving time are regulations implemented by the FMCSA. Through laws passed by Congress and rules implemented by the FMCSA, the Department of Transportation directly regulates our driving and our safety. As well, the California DMV is bound by the Department of Transportation's regulations and holds us to the same standards or higher. In order to ensure that motor carriers have training that will sufficiently train drivers to be safe and have skills meeting with these standards, the DOT has implemented training standards. The Research and Innovation Technology Administration, or RITA for short, coordinates the DOT's research and education programs. Within RITA, the DOT has created the Transit Safety Institute. This organization is tasked with developing training standards and materials to be used in motor carrier training programs. The Transit Safety Institute, or TSI for short, has provided motor carriers across the country with a training program and curriculum that trains drivers to sufficient DOT standards. This training curriculum is called Transit Safety and Security Training. Transit organizations must train their drivers using this program or with a program that teaches to the same standard. This is what we are referring to when we talk about TSI standards here at Shuttles. However, it should be noted that technically UCSD Shuttles is a paratransit organization and not a transit organization. This means we still have to be regulated by the DOT, but our training does not necessarily have to be regulated by TSI. However, we have chosen to maintain a high level of training very similar to what the TSI requires. The way we have developed our curriculum is by taking the transit safety and security training developed by TSI and filtering it. We have removed topics and standards that do not apply to our organization, for instance transporting children or charging fares, and used what was left as a foundation to build on. The customer service, ADA, sensitivity, and emergency management modules are examples of basic operational training here at Shuttles that are influenced directly by the TSI program. You may now ask yourself, well, why are we administering quizzes from the TSI's Transit Safety Training Program if we are not necessarily bound to use that program? The answer is, despite modifying the material, we will still be holding our new trainees to the same standards set forth by TSI. The quizzes serve as a way of certifying that our trainees have undergone training that conforms to the TSI standards. After the trainees have completed the Shuttles training program and passed their TSI quizzes, they will eventually be given certificates from the TSI that certifies them as having been trained to the standards set forth. In the far future, UCSD Shuttles may indeed transition from a paratransit to a transit organization. If that does occur, all drivers will be held to the same standards set forth by TSI. In addition, the California DMV requires that all transit drivers have proof that they have undergone training conforming to these standards. This proof is in the form of a certificate called a VTT, a verification of transit training. The Transit Safety and Security Training certifications issued by TSI prove that drivers are trained to these standards and will be used to then acquire a VTT. So it's important that you understand when we say TSI what we mean. It is what the curriculum we are using was derived from, and it is also the certification many of our new drivers will undergo, confirming that they have been taught to a basic standard set forth by the DOT. So in this video presentation as well, we either already did or will be talking about the derivation of the bought material from the curriculum from the TSI training program. What you can do as a trainer is look at the manuals that the TSI training program has provided us with. You can see here, here's the instructor guide for emergency management, and you can look in through here, and you can look at what their actual program materials are and use these as a tool for developing your own curriculum. So if you feel like you are not an expert in emergency management, you can go through this much more detailed manual about how to teach an emergency management class. This is not a guide to teach you how to be an expert in emergency management. What this is this is a guide about how to teach emergency management. So this is a very useful tool to go through. And these binders, what we've done is we've actually labeled them based on what material is sort of relevant. This binder is would be pertinent to bots 3 and 4. We have another binder that is pertinent to bots 1 and 2, customer service and ADA sensitivity training. And you can see again, if you look through here, it's quite an extensive manual of stuff, exercises, curriculum material that you can use to develop your own sort of skill set as a trainer. And I'll show you in a moment where this stuff is stored. Additionally, all trainers would have gone through an IDC, an instructor development. You all should have been given a binder like this, and in this binder it has material about, like for instance, effective communication. It has material about examples of how you might teach a bot class. So this is very good as just a very simple overview of how to be a good trainer. And you all should have been given this information at your IDC, but if you've lost it or maybe you weren't given it, there are 2 of these extra binders in the same place that the TSI binders are stored, and I'll show you those in a moment where those are stored. As well, all the printed material that UCSD has made is stored in the same place as all the materials for the bot classes, and I'll show you where all that printed material is in a moment. In addition to the bot materials, the printed materials that are handed out during bot, for instance, the packets about ADA sensitivity training, the packets about customer relations, that you hand out to trainees, starting way back in classroom training, they have also been given a binder that looks like this. It's a black binder. It could be other colors, but it's a binder anyway. And inside is this manual. This manual is the student companion guide to the TSI training program. Although we don't use the TSI training program in its full, in its entirety here at UCSD Shuttles, we use curriculum that was derived from it. We are still giving the manual to the new trainees because it has a lot of useful information as well as a lot of just worksheets, and it's a very good tool for students to go through to learn a lot of the information that we're training them on. What this means for you is even though you probably won't really be utilizing this in the classroom during bot a whole lot, it is a good tool to look at on your own just to build a depth of knowledge and to understand what they have seen, what they haven't seen, and maybe if you are sort of new to the program and you're feeling a little unsure of yourself, you can go ahead and just say, you know what, let's go ahead and just flip through this and we'll go through this, and you can refer to pages as you're going through your bot material. So it's a fairly useful reference tool. And again, what we've done is this is just a master copy that we're using for the trainers of what the students are given, and this is stored in the same place that the TSI binders are stored. And I'll show you that in a moment.